Hello and welcome to our third episode of the Learned It, Living It podcast with Darlington College. I have got two guests with me today who are both called Leigh. So let's find out a bit more. You guys, who are you? What do you do? Introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name's Leigh Chatterton. I'm a senior lecturer for Darlington College. And I teach plumbing level 1 at the moment.
Plumbing level 1, right,
Yeah.
Okay. And Leigh, Leigh.
I'm Leigh Porter. Again, senior lecturer and programme lead for Darlington College for plumbing full-time year 1 and year 2. It's been a fantastic experience so far.
Yeah.
But both of us have come from trade. We're more engineers than we are teachers.
Yeah.
So we're bang up to date on stuff.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to dive into a bit about who you are, what you do at the college, and I've got some questions. But obviously, it'd be a great to get a bit of an idea. So I'll start with you, Leigh. What was your background? How have you ended up coming into
Right,
the
it's a
college?
bit of a long story, I'm afraid.
Go for it. That's why we're here. That's why we're here.
Okay, so I've been in the industry man and boy.
Yeah.
My father was a plumber. I've always shown avid interest in it from a young child. I used to go and help him. And then I became a gas engineer in my own right. I went to college, just like the programmes we deliver here. And then I became a commercial gas engineer. I've worked for boiler manufacturers. I've worked at different places around the world. I've had a very varied exposure. I've been extremely fortunate to work with some fabulous people who have invested time into me.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for those individuals, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Okay.
And I'm here to give back. I know it might sound a bit cringeworthy or a bit but it's true. I am here, and it's time for the young people to take the baton and carry it on and have a good life like I have.
That's fantastic. I love that. So very experienced, obviously, in the industry.
Yeah.
And you obviously, what made you sort of go, tell you what, how I'm going to give back. This is how I'm going to do it here at Darlington College. What was that journey?
Right, okay. So what happened is I was working with some apprentices with other companies in the Northeast. And what was happening was I was noticing they weren't really being exposed to proper plumbing work. When they come to do their EPA, their endpoint assessment, they were failing things.
Right.
Because they hadn't had the correct exposure. I saw them flourish with some proper teachings. I thought, actually, I think I can do this on a larger scale.
Yeah.
I've also been very disillusioned with the gas industry recently. Been involved in a couple of serious incidents, and nothing ever seems to change. And I thought this was a good point for me to come back and build up from the foundations up and lead by example.
Fantastic.
So that's basically...
Yeah, okay, so it makes sense. So from implementing it yourself off your own back to going, actually, I want to formalise what I'm doing here and pursue that. Well, good on you.
Yeah, and also I've been very lucky, I must add as well, because I came to, so Leigh was here before me, and I'm very lucky kind of working with a colleague who has the same ethos and the same passion as myself.
Yeah.
And it's great. We work very well together, and so... Yeah, that's about me. So
yeah, fantastic.
There's
So
Leigh here.
What about your own background?
Well, my background's a little bit more checkered than Leigh's, really. I've lived all over the world.
Yep.
And I actually, when I left school, I decided I didn't want to be in the trade as all my family were. So I actually went off and qualified as a nurse.
Right, okay, yeah.
Did nursing and worked with social services for a while.
Yeah.
Removing abused children from houses.
Right, okay.
Obviously, that pays the toll, shall we say.
I can imagine, yeah.
So I went off travelling, lived in Australia, travelled around Australia, came back and then joined the army as a medic.
Right.
And did time in Bosnia.
Yeah.
And did various bits in Bosnia. Came out and then, well, what do I do now? Obviously then, go back to what you know. All my family trade, came back into the trades. Set up my own business.
And how old were you then, roughly, when you did that?
When I set up the business, or
when you came out?
When I came out, I was in mid-20s.
Right.
Then,
okay. Yeah.
And decided to set up my first business.
Yeah.
And said plumbing and heating. Worked all the way through, grew that up to big contracting for military bases.
Yeah.
Building park homes, big caravan parks,
yep.
stuff like that. And in a very fortunate position where I was able to retire. And again, with Leigh, I thought, well, what am I doing? I've got all this knowledge. I've got business acumen.
Yeah.
I've got that drive to how do I solve a problem?
Yeah.
How do I make money at the end of the day? Because that's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
And again, same with Leigh. We want these lads to have a great future. And unfortunately, due to higher education has been so let down by the powers that be, shall we say, underfunded, they have been let down. Yeah. And they have been, how would you put it? The lack of enthusiasm in staff. And I say, when I joined the college, the same as Leigh, we had two brilliant teachers. One is John Colby, wealth of knowledge, wealth of experience. And now we've got Harry as well.
Yeah, Harry Teasdale,
brilliant. But when I joined, there was only John on his own trying to run everything. Because we just can't get staff, can't do anything. So I went, well, there you go, perfect. I love my job, I love what I do, and I want to pass all that knowledge on.
Yeah.
So now, even today, we are going above and beyond. We're working with schools now.
Okay.
We're going into schools to start teaching it in schools before they even come to us.
Right.
Yeah.
We're open days, we're running open events.
Yeah. So
Just to try
you're
and
very
get
much
that.
hands-on, not just at the college. You're doing like the outreach work with the schools and provided. Wow, that's fantastic news.
Yeah. It's very important, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah, we both, and we both invest a lot of time into it, and we have quite intense discussions about things, how we can actually get things, how we can get things out there, and how we can promote things, and let's actually grow the industry, because at the moment there's a massive shortage.
Yeah,
So
well,
you're gonna get bigger.
trades are always in demand, as we know.
Yeah.
I think that takes us nicely into the next point, because I suppose you've had your experience yourselves, different sectors as well.
Yeah.
And obviously on the other side, in terms of actually plumbing yourself and delivering that work, and then you wanted to get back and come. But I think now what we're keen to know is, what's the sort of vision do you see teaching for the future? Because obviously you've just said it yourself, impart knowledge on the next generation of plumbers. So, what do you see your vision for the future of teaching plumbing?
Do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I think we want to really advance it. I've been working with certain manufacturers, and we're getting involved in technology.
Would that be Mitsubishi?
It would be Mitsubishi, yes. Yeah, they've been great working with us. So Mitsubishi have been really good to us. They've actually donated us stuff, materials, which is obviously, which has gave us a real head start.
Yep.
And they've allowed us to share technologies, understand what, how the actual trade is evolving.
Okay.
And we've got like a bit of a slogan, haven't we? VAC, which is valid, authentic, and current.
Yes,
That's
well,
what we are.
I've got a question about
Right.
being valid.
Yeah.
Validation.
So my ethos really is to future-proof young people.
Yep.
To make sure, as long as they're willing to evolve and train with new technology, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to kind of pass these learned skills on to the next, onto the next generation, and on so and on so.
So how important do you think it is to have industry leaders like that coming in?
Very important.
At the education level.
Yeah,
Definitely.
exceedingly important. Yeah. But we've found them, to be honest, the people we've actually reached out to have been nothing but kind of forthcoming, haven't they? They've been really,
Brilliant.
yeah. Especially Mitsubishi. Peter,
Yeah.
was a guy we've been dealing with. He's been great.
How do the students receive that? Because obviously they see you day to day. In terms of their studies, but what's it like when they get to see somebody who's come from these big industries? Because appreciate the students probably won't realise what you've done in the past necessarily. They probably think you've just done this all your life, in that regard. So they won't see that. But obviously, when someone comes in from outside, surely they must be well received.
Yeah, well, a lot of the stuff we are teaching our students, because again, for me and Leigh, this is a passion. This isn't a job.
Yeah.
We can both go and play golf this afternoon if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We want to be here, so it's not that daily grind for somebody isn't there. So it's our passion, it's our enjoyment, and so we can impart that into our students. It's not a case of that's what the curriculum says, that's what we do. 100%. It says you make this one bend in this pipe. No, let's push it. Let's do more. Let's do it better.
Yeah.
If there's a way, we won't just look at it from one angle either. So we'll go, right, if we're now, like, we can't use hot works in that building, so we can't use flame.
Yeah.
So what could we do? And we're doing all things like that with the students. So when people come in, the actual work they're producing is way, way advanced than after the visits to other colleges, way more advanced than any of the other students that are coming out. You know, we've got a lot of our level 1s actually doing and surpassing our level 2s already.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well,
Stretch and challenge at the moment.
Yeah.
All the time.
I mean, I've seen the facilities that they're in. And they were fitting bathrooms.
Yeah.
And what it's funny. I always talk about the college, and you have the frontage, and you know, you see this amazing building, but you never, like, from the outside, you don't see what's going on underneath. So when I walked in, there was like 5 different bathrooms. I thought that was fantastic, and they were all, you know, plumbing them in and putting them in. I thought that was just incredible to see in action. But I bet that takes some management in terms of the space and everything else.
It does. But again, they've got to learn that.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's as important as when you're working in a house or something like that. If you're going to do an extension, we've got to show them, right, you've got to do your groundworks, then your building, then your first fix, then your second fix. You've got to work with other trades. You've got to be polite to other trades. Because otherwise they just don't turn up, or they'll do something to make your life harder. So we try to work out all that with them as well. And we're getting involved in building the new workshops.
Right.
Because we're altering all that lot, which no doubt we'll come across at some point. All the new green energy stuff, all the solar, air source,
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that with the future element.
Yeah.
Again, if we can get them students in to work with us, and we're trying to even get the Sparkies.
Oh, I was gonna come on to that as well.
Yeah. Right. Obviously, we have that wealth of talent there.
You do.
From bricks, to chippies, to let's use these guys.
Yeah.
You know, let's show them what it is. And obviously getting placements and apprenticeships is so hard now. So if we can show them and they can show a present employer, look, actually, I've done this on top of what I've already got.
So on that, would you say that having those real world skills, i.e., you've created a bathroom in situ in a classroom environment, but for all intents and purposes, that station is very much that. You think, obviously, that's a big part of getting the students into employment, not just going, here's a couple of bits of pipe and connected together. Here's the full deal. Yeah,
we like to contextualise it. So we change things as well, don't we?
Yeah.
So, as Leigh said there, so the script within the actual job pack might only be this. Yeah, but we'll add more to it. So it gets them thinking about things, having to use a noggin a little bit and apply. And as Leigh said, looking from, from other angles, how can I do that? Because it's not going to be a perfect world.
Yeah, in the workplace.
It could be sudden changed, and this is what we're doing, isn't it? And I'd just like to also say that, like, I think Darlington College have embraced what we're wanting to do, and I personally think it's a fabulous place to work, and I'm not just saying that. It's true. It is.
Let's say everyone we work with is all willing to jump in, muck in, do something, go that extra mile. And like you were saying there about you saw them bathrooms. What you didn't see what was behind them bathrooms.
No, I didn't. It was all
so
proper.
What we give them is an empty bay.
Right.
Start off with. Right, measure the bay. Right. What can you do if you were going to see a customer? Plan it out. Do me a quotation. Do me a costing.
Okay.
Then you fit it. And again, what we work on rather than, can you pipe that sink? Right, is that going to look right? Would you have it at home? You've got to sell it to that customer.
If I did it, maybe.
Again, that's why we all make good money. Without the destroy it yourself team, we wouldn't do very well. But it's what people don't see, like with most jobs, like your job doing this. What is done in the background, people don't see that. They just see the shiny bit at the end.
Yeah, well, I saw very much the shiny bit, as in, at the time, he was just fixing a pipe, and I wasn't sure whether it was in situ. But to hear that was actually an empty bay, and they've worked from the ground up. There's also kitchen areas. They weren't working on it when I was in there. But I thought the setup was just real world. And I'm like, God,
as close as we can get it. And because again, we're both me and Leigh, we're not teachers. We are engineers. Yeah. A teacher, to me, is somebody who's very good at English, maths, things like that. We're engineers. We come straight out of the trade. So whatever, again, VAC, we know everything that is bang up to date. And we both love all the new stuff. We sit on an evening or even on our bedtime and have a look and see what's coming up, what's new, what's coming out, what is the future. Because we want our students to be leaving with the best. And we want people to say, where did you get the apprentice from? He's good. Oh, he's come from Darlington College.
Yep.
And that's what we want. We want people to be proud of where they've been and where they come from.
Absolutely.
And even when they leave us after the couple of years, we've always said we're always still contactable by emails. I know a lot of universities work the same way.
Yep.
We're always still there as a point of contact. Still that point of support is still there even though they've left.
Yep.
If they're doing something, I don't know if that's quite right, they've got all Leigh's knowledge of the law, of the rules. Is this right? Is it not right? And again, the amount of weird stuff I've put in and built over the years, how can I get from this point to this point without destroying that point? Yeah. So between us, there's not a lot we can't answer.
Yep. With that industry experience, it really backs you up.
And then if I can't answer it, I'm sure I know some people who can, and I'll put it out there. You know, I don't know everything. None of us do, but there's things which we do.
Let's speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sure between you can figure most things out. I think, obviously, plumbing is typically seen as a very male-dominated industry. Yeah. But obviously, plumbing is, of course, open to females and people of all walks of life. I mean, and obviously you want to attract people from all walks of life.
Now, like we're at Polham Hall today.
Right.
Meeting with all the students from Polham Hall today. And we are both big advocates of ladies working in our industry.
Yeah. Of course.
Inclusion, huge, really, it's at our heart of what we do.
It is open to all walks. You've been all over. I mean, are you going? Which schools are you going to? Are you going to schools all over the
North East, and we're even going to be going into other colleges again, working with them, see what they're doing, see if they've got any ideas that we've missed, or again, put our ideas into them. Yeah. Again, even with materials and things like that, we figured out a way of saving copper because obviously we're all about renewable. We're all about saving stuff. Yeah. And copper's expensive. It comes out the ground. It's got to be refined. If we can cut that down, so we've found a particular type of pipe that now we can use. We call it practice pipe. Yeah. And we can bend it over and over again, and then we straighten it.
Right. Okay.
So we're just not wasting pipe. Yeah. And we're trying to find things like that. How can we recycle something? All of our offcuts go into a bin, and then we'll break them down again. And if we have students coming in, we'll cut them down into smaller bits, so we can show them. So one piece of copper pipe now gets used 5 or 6 times. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Again, cutting costs, but it's also saving the environment, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, that's it.
If we don't save it, we won't have one.
Yeah, 100%.
Very close to my heart, that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna come on to the future tech in particular, and I think it's great that you're going all schools in the early like before college education, obviously, and speaking to people. I suppose any females that were considering going into plumbing, what sort of things are you saying to them?
Well, again, we work out, as I have the same conversation I just had a minute ago about my employees as a real-time thing. And also, the way everything's changing, the way the system, we're going more and more computerised, we're going more and more electronic, aren't we? Yeah. Stuff like that. The big old heavy boilers that used to be around, the big cast iron things, don't exist really anymore. It's all lightweight aluminiums. So the actual physical, a lot of the physical aspect is leaving.
Yeah, the loads of what people are having to carry have reduced.
It's going to open it right up.
Yeah. For everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
We even have a few students who have difficulties. Yeah. And again, we're adapting, we're changing, and that's that same thing. If we can't do it that way, can we do it a different way and still end up with the same result?
Okay.
And that still allows that student who's not the top of the class, not the best, to still work it out, and still accomplish, still succeed something.
Yeah. Support them.
Yeah.
Okay, so on to the future, tech and AI. Now, I'm quite interested in AI in my realm of work.
Yeah.
I haven't actually thought about AI being used in plumbing, so we'll come on to that. In fact, we'll go there now. So
well, it won't ever happen.
Do you not think so?
There will be a basic amount of AI, only to the point of like Nest.
Yeah, things like that, but there's still I still wholeheartedly believe there's going to be no substitute for a human being in something like that, because you have to. It doesn't have the tactileness of like a human and the approach, and again AI only knows what it's been told, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's so I think.
I mean, I suppose that's the installation side of things in terms of implementing things. Obviously, you'd want a human doing that side of things, but you talked about Nest, for example.
Yeah.
Coming back to energy efficiency, I suppose AI could be used that way to then regulate the systems.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the other rooms we are building at the college is a future room, which will all be, we're working with Amazon, as far as I'm aware, and it's all going to be a smart home. Yeah. So you can tell the lights to come on, you can tell the sockets to come on. What I've been trying to get hold of, and I want to see if I'm allowed to get one in the budget.
Try your best.
Is, an electronic bath.
Right, okay.
The bath actually fills itself, sets itself to its own temperature.
Okay, so there's applications of AI, so you might install it.
Yeah, if you're blind or disabled, you can say, right, run me a bath. Yeah. It'll do all that for you.
I think I could do with one of those. It sounds lovely.
It
sounds great.
Run me a bath,
I don't know about you, when I walk into a building, it's like having a second-hand car. It has its character. And I can hear the water going round the building.
Yeah.
I can hear what it's doing. That's why I don't think, as you say with AI, it's A, B, C, D. Yeah. We go in and you get a feel for it.
Yeah, you do.
And like toilets got their own little idiosyncrasies.
Yeah. You get like a spider sense. You can feel something's not quite right. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to listen to it.
Yeah.
Like, a bit like a horse whisperer with a boiler whisperer.
Yeah, the boiler whisperers. That can be the strap line for this podcast. We're joined by the boiler whisperers.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because that'll never go in, never get replaced by AI. Because it's a physical job.
And also comes with experience as well, and that's something which we're permanently experiencing things every day, aren't we? I mean, so we're learning new things, applications. But I think everything has its limitations to a degree. Yeah. But I think we're still going to be. I don't think we need to be worried about it yet.
No, if you come into any of the building sector, whether that be brickies, carpentry, or sparkies. Right,
is there a plumber and Sparky war? Is this what we're...
Yeah. There always has been. I have to admit I'm both. I am actually a qualified Sparky as well. But the reason that there is so much thing between the Sparkies and us, we are very similarly trained. It takes the same amount of time. You've got to be equally as clever. So there's always that battle. So it's like two top football teams. Because they're both very, very good. They're both at the top of their field. But that banter's always going to be there because everything is very similar. So, again, getting ladies into electrics, most of them are ladies, I think, aren't they?
Right.
I couldn't resist that one. But, again, any of them, because the top tier trades really, for me, are plumbing and electrics. It's that way forward. It's always evolving. It's always new.
Well, I think with technology, obviously, electrics and plumbing sit alongside. So on the technology front, obviously, we touched on AI there. Well, I'm interested, obviously, you've touched on heat pumps and various things. So what, I suppose, what's been the change been over the last few years? Are you doing more and more in terms of heat pumps and the renewable side of things? How are you embracing that change? And what effect is that having in terms of how you're thinking about what you're going to have to equip your workforce with? Because obviously you've just told me you're trying to get everyone ready. Yeah. So, how have you embraced that challenge?
Well, I think it's been on the approach for a while. It's been knocking on the door for quite a while, hasn't it? And until recently, I'd say the last kind of 10 years, we haven't really embraced it. Yeah. But I think now we're all starting to see it's a very serious matter. We're all starting to witness the kind of evidence of a true climate change.
Well, think of all the rain we've had.
All the rain we've had, and things are changing. And I don't know if we can reverse anything, but we can certainly prevent it from getting any worse. We can try and put the brakes on it. Yep. And there's a lot of incentives now coming out for things like that. So I think from that perspective, we're going to have to... The problem is, because it is still an evolving technology, everything is still evolving massively. And that's why it's important we get on the train, make sure that we do move with it. Yep. And also the biggest thing I found with like kind of renewables and certainly new technologies is you have to be proactive with it. It's no good having it installed and you don't know how to use it or something like that. You've got to make sure you use it. Many years ago, I was involved with gas-fired engines. They were the big,
Right.
Name on the block, new kids on the block, shall we say. Yeah, but a lot of people had them installed just to tick a box.
Okay.
And now when I go around them, it's quite sad, really, because there just seem to be a house for spiders and things like that. They're not being used, they were never utilised, nobody was interested. But I think we're actually coming to a point now where we do have to change.
Yeah, so
it has to happen.
Heat pumps are obviously being, you're aware of funding schemes that you've touched on. That so, are you see an increase in demand from an employer standpoint that they need people that can deliver these skills?
Not yet, but from 2026, all new buildings have to start to have a heat pump.
Okay.
So again, we've got a couple of years to get our ladies and gentlemen ready for that. At the moment, there is grants out there and people are putting them in, but there is no service industry for them. Yeah. There's no one to maintain them. Yeah. People are taking the grants, putting it in and running away. And find somebody else to service it. Because there's nobody up in the north of England doing this. The companies are coming up from London, fitting these things, getting their money off the government and taking it back down to London.
Right.
Whereas we want that money to be up here.
Yep.
The North East England was such a heritage of engineering, from the train to just ICI to energy to fuel. We were such a massive powerhouse.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see that coming back. Yeah. Rather than so if we can train them here, we can train our ladies and gentlemen. They can make the money and then they spend it here. Yep. They'll buy the newer house. They'll buy the next generation. And they will drive this force. And as heat pumps become more prevalent, they will become cheaper.
Of course, and we've seen it with electric cars. It's a good example. They've kind of I'd probably compare electric cars being slightly ahead to the heat pump scenario at the moment.
Yes.
But we are seeing that technology come down. So you do with mass do that. So I suppose you're in a bit of a challenge where you've got to teach people how to do what is current, but also what's coming in the future. So I suppose you've got to have an eye on both at present. Would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Sorry.
Me and Leigh are also working on virtual reality at the moment.
Right.
For training for retrofit.
Okay.
Which is a new thing coming up, new retrofit systems. So if we see out the window there, we've got some 1900 terraced houses. Yeah. Right? Which have a 14-inch solid wall. They're not particularly insulated. The one over the road, I think, still may have wooden windows. Obviously, now the government are now pushing a retrofit.
Yep.
So whereas when we grew up as children, we had a back boiler, and I remember ice on the inside of the windows.
Yeah.
I'm that old. Stuff like that, and then we evolved, and suddenly we've now got a combi boiler, which is like, if you took it back now, you'd get hung for witchcraft. And again, it's that next generation, that next thing. So let's make sure we've got double glazing. Let's put insulation in. So what we're doing now is teaching engineers of all of them, from bricklayers to sparkies, to chippies, to window fitters, to carpet fitters. Yeah. Right, come and do this course with us, and we show you, right, what is the next generation, what's coming out, and we've done when we put your headset on, and you can actually walk around each individual building. One from pre-1900s, 1900s to 1970s, 70s to 80s, and then up to the brand new houses that Leach and Barrett and everyone are building now, the ultra insulated, that run on next to nothing. Yeah. Let's get, rather than take up loads of land, digging up loads of stuff to make sure, we've got a wealth of stock of houses. Let's make them fit for purpose.
Yeah, so bring them up to speed. So ironically, you're using VR, which is very modern technology, to learn partly about some of the older practices, and then bring that's incredible.
And for health and safety as well. So we can go in, if you're going into the building, right, I'm going to this building, what sort of things am I going to be looking for? Am I going to need a ladder to get in the attic, right? Have I got the right stuff for that? What do I need? Do I need steel boots on? Do I not? Am I going in, but they still cover factories, it'll cover everything. Yeah. So again, have I got the right PPE? So you can put your mask on, you've got it all in front of you, and you've got to pick the right
So that's a really good application because you can. It's a space to get it wrong.
A safe space to get it wrong
without
anything going wrong. Like
could I put it better?
It's in a safe environment to get it.
We can simulate working at heights.
Yes. Okay.
And our plan is hopefully to a certain level the ladders will move while you're on them. So you've got that. Well, why haven't you got your harness on? If you've clipped your harness on like you're supposed to, you'll just stay still.
Right. Okay.
But as you say, you just stood in the room. You're not going to get hurt.
I never thought I'd be talking about VR when I was meeting plumbing. It's great.
We are looking at everything.
Yeah.
And we want this to move, don't we? We do. And you asked us before about what we think, kind of how we deliver and, what our thoughts are.
Yeah.
And we want to actually produce the next generation of engineers.
Right.
A new type that hasn't been seen before.
Yeah.
Right. So what I would like, what I would like to happen is so they see our first couple of apprentices coming out or our full-timers. And then I would like employers actually wanting,
them coming to us rather than
actually saying,
them.
Yeah.
What have you got, so what people have you got in these areas, logistical or what this, or when will they be ready or things like that. That's what I want to get ready, but like the actual next generation. It's not just a plumber who can fix a toilet or a leaking tap. You can actually do air source and they can do this, they can do that. A real commodity to someone's business and to make a difference.
Yeah, multi-skilled. Because we're now combining electrics and plumbing.
Yeah.
When you start, you're T level now, level 3. You do a year in each.
Right,
and
okay.
then you specialise in your final year.
Okay, understood. That's good because then they get a good
grounding.
Yeah, there we go.
I know you had David in the other day.
Yes. I did. Principal
leader.
The principal.
Yeah. Again, things have changed since he's come.
Yeah.
He's a forward-thinking guy. I think under his leadership, he's open to new ideas.
Yeah.
He actually sits with us and works out where can we all go. Say between us, Harry, John, we're all so passionate about it. And I say, John and Harry, the same thing. They've been in schools for a long time, but again, very top of their field when they joined.
Yeah.
And they're training us. Again, in everything, we all share ideas and it all works together. But you can see that in the students we're all turning out, beginning to turn out now.
That's incredible. I love that. I love the VR point. I think it's brilliant. I think, and one of the questions I got is about future-proofing professional plumbers. And that's essentially what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
You're equipping them to go into the workplace and do that. I suppose the challenge, like you say, is connecting with employers. So if any employers are out there, get in touch with the college and speak. But obviously, making sure that how much of it? Here's one. So you learn all of the plumbing know-how, as in the technicals and terms. How much do you do around? You touched on pricing jobs and things like that, because that's a different skill to being able to connect some pipes together. So how do you support those sort of softer skills, if that makes sense?
This is your field.
Well, again, because of my background, we set up different scenarios.
Okay.
I do within our classwork workshops, and one will be the customer you've spilt some on his carpet. Like, how would you deal with that customer? Yeah. And I actually encourage the one who's the customer to kick off.
Okay.
To actually have a go at him.
Yeah.
Like a real person would, but obviously, again, in a safe, controlled environment.
Yeah, 100%.
But you've got to get used to that. And in this world, as we explained to them, you can't just split your dummy out. And a couple of them have, because somebody shouted at them. I went, right, okay, you've now just stomped off and walked off, but that £1,000 you had in your pocket, you might as well just throw that in there because that customer is not going to pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's stuff like that, and we do costings. Even one of our lads actually found a CAD system.
Okay.
Yeah, he did,
he shared that and showed all the other students himself. He wasn't asked to do it; he was just asked to price. But he found the system, and he's actually taught the others through this CAD system.
So a bit of peer-to-peer learning going on.
Yeah. And they're all working together now. They're working now as a team.
Okay.
They're all starting to work together. Again, we do different bits like that. Do real life costings, and the one who got normally we'll try and work out a little price for them or something else like that, because sometimes with manufacturers we get cups, we get various bits like that. So if somebody does do well, like you get one of them, instead of obviously getting the bathroom fit off the customer, it is done competitively.
Yeah, so there's a bit of reward incentive.
Yeah. So one will go, well, I'm going to charge £500 an hour because I want to make a fortune. Right, okay, that's not wrong. By all means, charge her. Do your quote.
But you need to justify
and
your
then stand up in class and go, right, what's your quote? What are you going to give me? Yeah. And you get some that come back with a realistic price. Yeah. And there's some that think they're fitting for Elon Musk or something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Space station, yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, they realise then, well, actually, that is unrealistic. But it allows them to realise it's unrealistic rather than me just going, no.
Providing them with an opportunity to self-discover how, because it's not that it's not a right or wrong. Because obviously, if you go attach these 2 bits of pipe, does it leak? That is a right or wrong. Does water come out? I suppose the fine skills in business, it's not necessarily a right or wrong, but it's how do you navigate the line of providing a good quality service, working with people, making sure that everything, you're quoting accountably, make sure, make sure you're not out of pocket at the end of the day, making sure that you're accounting. Make sure that you've accounted for everything. But they're all soft skills that sit alongside the industry that are nothing to do with connecting 2 pieces of pipe together in some regard, like in terms of the technical side of it.
Put in again, what you don't see, the stuff that is behind the lines.
Yes.
That's the bit we also teach. But again, a lot of people think plumbing is just attaching 2 pipes together. It's even down to how would you do a tax return?
Right.
Do you
go to that level?
Yeah, I go through that. What taxes you need to pay?
Yeah.
What can you claim? What can't you claim back off the tax man? Because that's very important.
Yeah.
If you get that right, he's somebody you don't want to upset.
No.
Yeah, there's the old tax man.
Yeah.
But again, can you claim for a vehicle? Can you not claim for a vehicle? What tools you can claim for? What workwear can you claim for? What can't you?
Yeah.
Again, work out what your customer base is, what clothes you'd wear. I used to turn up at meetings that was maybe £500,000, £750,000 contracts for me.
Yeah.
And depending on who it was, whether I turned up in workwear or I turned up in a 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
Again, getting that, I turned up to one meeting for a rather large contract and everybody turned up in Range Rovers. All the other reps, all in Range Rovers. So I'd been out and bought, as a delay, I went and bought a Mercedes.
Right.
Just so I stood out in the car park.
Yeah.
But that was enough for them to look at it, well, hang on. What does he know that they don't?
Yeah.
Because everyone had the same.
Yeah, the same thing.
But again, they were all reps. They were all the vehicles were given to them by the businesses.
Yeah.
I'm the owner. And that's why I was different. It wasn't the case of, as I said to the students, make sure you go in and you've got as much information as you can. Because you don't want to go in and go, I'll get back to you on that. I'll send you an email on that. Even if you have to make it up. As long as it sounds good and it sounds convincing, you stand a higher chance of getting that contract.
So I suppose, delivering confidence, encouraging confidence based on sound knowledge is a key takeaway. I think it's great. So basically, you touched on it before, and it's about, I've got the words valid, authentic, and current.
Yeah.
So it also says I need some context on this.
Right.
Because
okay.
That's a note for myself. Because I'm like, so explain to me. If I'm looking at valid, authentic, and current, how are we applying that to plumbing?
Well, so something would be, so obviously the word valid will tell us it's actually correct. What we're actually, so valid. So here's what you were saying. Is it valid?
Yeah.
So we actually give nothing but the proper. We don't make things up. We research everything heavily before we deliver it.
Yeah.
And it is valid and it's authentic.
Okay.
So it is exactly
what it's meant to be.
Yeah, what it's meant to be.
Okay. Yeah.
What I pride myself on is, and Leigh's also like this, and for the younger listeners, they probably won't know what I mean, but the Ron Seal effect, the Ron Seal paint, it does what it says on the tin.
Okay, yeah, that's
that is what it is.
Yep.
And then obviously the other part to that would be the current. Mm-hmm. So we are current, so everything we are delivering is up to date. Yep. It is what it needs to be. There's nothing. So we've taken a couple of outdated things out, haven't we? Which is no longer relevant.
Okay.
It's no longer current.
Yeah.
But but what we have put it in its place, like, it is valid and it's authentic.
It's a modern working practice.
Yeah, bringing it in.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, so I suppose that's like your VR health and safety run-throughs,
That's what I'm saying.
looking at heat pumps, all of
So
those sort
keeping
of
it
things.
all up to date. If there's something new coming out, we want to be the first on it.
Yeah.
And we want our students to be the first on that. Because again, they're in college for 3 to 4 years. It changes.
Yeah.
So when they started out, like, this was a new toy. This is what was coming out then. But what's coming out when you're going to be leaving? If you've got that qualification, that experience of that when you're leaving, you're going to leave here and walk straight into a job.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
Yeah, to help them.
So again, that coed, valid.
valid.
I'm picking up your
Valid, yeah.
valid. Is that correct? Is that in that paperwork for that time? Yeah. But then that might alter.
Yeah.
Depending on who gets in. Because I do believe there might be a general election coming up. I think I heard a slight whisper of that somewhere.
Things change,
again, what is that?
Well, things do, curriculums do change, so you've got to be responsive.
Yeah. Again, how is that going to change? How are they going to change the rules? What funding are they going to put out there?
Yeah.
So we're even watching governments. What are they doing? What are the politicians doing?
Yeah, and I suppose the heat pump funding example is a good example to say, well, that's probably brought the heat pump agenda forward deliberately.
Yeah.
That's why it's there.
Yeah.
And that means you need to then be responsive to offer valid and current training to equip people.
Well, again, the next government might say, no, we're not going to do heat pumps. We're going to do electric boilers instead.
Yeah.
Right, so we need to, let's twist that. We'll still do the heat pumps, but let's start bringing in the electric boilers.
Yeah.
Let's start having a look, or they might push solar VP or ground source. We're very flexible. So that's what I say. We're
So there's
looking
a
at
huge
everything that's
responsibility
the
on
go.
responding to what's going on around you, because you want the students to be as quick as possible going into the workplace.
We do.
Yeah, and we adapt very quickly, don't we?
We do. And also, another important thing is we have them researching regulations, which is valid.
Okay, yeah,
Authentic.
absolutely.
So it's no good you saying something you can't do that. That's wrong. That's incorrect. Well, where does it say it's incorrect, or who's saying it's right?
Good.
You have to be able to actually validate what you're saying,
Yeah.
and that's why we make people check the regs, the rules.
Because there are a lot of regulations and rules in the industry, that you need to follow. You're talking about duty to HMRC for your tax. Equally, you've got a lot of legal duties, and are the students going to love reading through all this regulation legal? Probably not at times, but it's such an important part. So, how do you overcome those challenges when you're trying to sort of reinforce the regulations?
So we'll set some tasks. So we might say, you've just done a big job in London.
Yeah.
And the set of water regulations was A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And now you're going to get, so now you've got a job in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Can you just apply the same type of fittings, the same regulations? I don't know. You're going to have to read them.
So you're giving them very open questions to go on.
Yeah.
Again, Scotland does have its own water regs.
Yeah, so you just can't.
Does have its own rules on installation and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's, as we say there, like in London, but Wales also, and Ireland have all their own different rules. So, as Leigh says there, we know it's different. Because
you know the answer.
We know this, we know the answer. But we want them to find that answer.
But rather than just saying, here's regulation 2.8.
Yeah, that's boring.
Yeah.
You find it. Tell me why.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. That's a really good way of doing it.
Why?
Yeah. Which then, I'm sorry I keep on promoting this, but VAC is an important part of, and I want them to take it away with them as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what they need to be.
Yeah, they need to be inquisitive, I suppose, around the regs to make sure, because they will change.
They will change,
You're teaching them today's regs.
Yeah.
And in time, who knows what changes. So.
And even manufacturers' instructions, how important manufacturers' instructions are, because they will supersede any regulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got to put how important they are.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you might go, we'll put a boiler in there with a flue up there, and regs say, no, I can't. But actually, the manufacturer's instruction says I can. But you've got to be able to justify that.
Okay. And
why you've gone against that, because the manufacturer says, yes, I can.
So you need to, it's fine to be challenged, but you need to be able to say, this is why I'm doing it. Right, okay. So there's a lot of responsibility on the profession and the individuals to make sure that they're doing the right thing and doing it for the right reasons.
And again, maths and English.
Yeah.
We push our students all the time to attend, and how important them core aspects of maths and English are. Because they go, well, I'm going to be a plumber, I'll never use it. Maths, we use an awful lot of maths.
Yeah.
And again, English, we use quite a bit of English. And I do believe that from next year, we'll be teaching extra hour, but we'll be doing that. So we'll need to build that into our curriculum as well. Yeah. Because they'll go and do their extra hours in maths. But then we've got to fit an hour, it'd be concurrent to what we do. Yeah. But it has to be at least an hour a week, primarily on maths. So we would use water flow rates. Yeah. Electricians,
Full rates.
Electricians would use current.
Yeah, making it relevant to the
to the subject. But just to show that math, rather than just hidden in the background, you don't realise you're using it. Yeah. But this is purely to show, like, this is how much math you or whatever you do use. Same
with the English and the regulations and interpreting it is one thing. Just reading the words through your head and out.
Exactly.
It's reading it, understanding it, digesting it, and then applying it.
Yeah.
Is the key thing.
Embedded within the lesson.
And again, when we're different schools work their way through, we can instill there. Look, if you want to come and do it, you really need to get. You need to get we're not after 5s and 6s. You know, we can work with a 3 and 4 because we have a brilliant English and maths team.
And then you can work with them.
College. Yeah. So if you don't quite get there, I probably shouldn't say this is not the end of the world. Yeah. You know, don't panic, don't stress yourself out, don't get yourself all upset.
It's a work on.
We can help you. Yeah. You know, because there is the amount of pressure that is now put on our young people.
Oh yeah,
it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
you must do well. You must have this. You must do that. And as we say sometimes, it's okay to get it wrong.
Yeah,
it's okay to be stressed. It's okay. It's how you handle that stress. If you're having a bad day, have a word with one of us. I'm having a bad day. Go and have a sit down. Go and take a break. Go and take a breath. Yeah. It's okay to make mistakes. It's how we deal with them. And that's another thing we show. Because I say, we're all stressed to death these days. The workload, the expectations, everything else.
Consumerism.
So again, and I say at the college, our English and maths teams are fantastic. So if you haven't quite made it at school, doesn't mean you can't come to college. Doesn't mean you can't do electrics. Doesn't mean you can't be a chippy. Doesn't mean you can't do leisure and tourism. You can't do hair and beauty like me. That's why I had my hair done today. You know, it doesn't mean your life's over. Yeah. What it means is, let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at it from a different angle. Let's get you through. Let's give you the career you want. And the whole college will back that up.
Yeah, and Leigh couldn't have said it better.
I love that.
You're giving me goosebumps. But we have got some success stories as well, haven't we, with some students who have been excluded from school and we've took them in, and now they are top of the class. Yep. And when we get schools coming to...
So we've actually got apprenticeships.
So we've got apprenticeships, turned round completely with just a little bit of a different approach.
It's fantastic.
And it's very rewarding. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, so my last question is, and you've kind of touched on it, is obviously you've done your careers. Yeah. You've then moved into the education side of things. You talk so passionately about the subjects. It's lovely to hear and see. And I think, the students are extremely fortunate to have the two Leighs running the show for them.
Thank you.
Makes life easy for them to remember. Yeah. But I think for me, just each in turn, like, if you could summarise what your favourite thing is about being that educator, being that person to take people to help them, to help them develop, to put them on the, what's the biggest sort of thing you think of in terms of that?
For me, one word, joy.
Yeah.
It's joy and fulfilment, I suppose. Yeah. When we see them advancing.
Smile and
makes me happy.
Yeah.
Progression. I like to see people progress. I like to see people evolve.
Yeah.
It's a big sense of achievement, and our job isn't to be taken lightly. We've got people's livelihoods in our hands. Really, if you think about it,
people's lives.
People's lives.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Leigh and I, Leigh would agree. Nothing would make me happier to pull into a petrol station. Somebody pulls up alongside me, and there's, I don't know whoever it may be, the van all,
Yeah.
all kind of sign written. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice Bentley.
making their career.
Yeah, and then he says, "Is there any chance I can send my apprentices into you?" And it's just like the reward of watching somebody achieve something, and then because we've seen them come in, haven't we? Not being able to do anything, and all of a sudden you can slowly see this skill kind of growing and flourishing. Yeah. Nice. It's nice to see. Yeah, it's actually. It's actually an honour as well to do with it, really, to be honest with you. Yeah.
That is fantastic. Well, on that note, we will leave it there. But, gentlemen,
Okay,
thank you so much for your time.
No worries.
If
you want to do any more, let us know.
100%. I think, who knows, we might have to come in and see some students. But if you want to know more about plumbing or any of the other courses at Darlington College, please by all means visit darlington.ac.uk, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments or email the college.